Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
It's disgusting. Ford calls for investigation into Toronto school field trip that ended at Palestinian rally. Police search for suspect wanted in connection with two separate sexual assaults in Brampton. Police say 3 dead, 3 injured in crash near Kitchener, Ontario. Amazon launches in-garage deliveries in Canada for some customers. Second victim accuses York Region massage therapist of sexual assault, York Regional Police. Toronto police officer injured during arrest of allegedly armed suspect at Bloor Yonge Station. Controversial law designed to free up hospital beds to be tested in Ontario court.
These were the headlines and let's jump right into the detail.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says the Toronto District School Board TDSB should investigate how some students on a recent school field trip ended up at a rally where pro-Palestinian slogans were shouted. On Wednesday, the TDSB said an undisclosed number of students attended the Grassy Narrows River Run, which was organized to highlight the mercury contamination within the Northern Ontario First Nation. The field trip was billed as an educational experience where students would hear from Indigenous voices about the challenges facing the people of Grassy Narrows. However, videos circulating on social media shows some young students taking part in the march and repeating the slogan "From Turtle Island to Palestine, occupation is a crime," after it was shouted by someone who appeared to be a protest organizer. In a statement, the TDSB apologized and said that, in general, students should not be participating in organized protests as part of a field trip and that the guidance would be shared within the school system. Ford was asked about the incident Monday and called for investigation into how the students ended up at the rally. "We will be all over this and make sure people are held accountable and they think twice about bringing young little kids without the parents' permission on these school trips. It's disgusting," he said. Prior to Ford's comments, Education Minister Jill Dunlop weighed in on the incident, saying she was deeply disappointed by Wednesday's events. The incident was condemned by the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs and the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center. The board did not say which school or schools participated in the field trip. Police are searching for suspect wanted in connection with two separate sexual assaults involving 19-year-old women in Brampton. The first incident happened on September 2nd at around 5:30 a.m. in the area of Steeles Avenue West and McLaughlin Boulevard. Peel Regional Police said officers allege a woman was walking when a man sexually assaulted her and fled. On September 22nd at around 1:30 a.m., police said a woman was walking in the area of McLaughlin Road and Ray Lawson Boulevard when the suspect allegedly sexually assaulted her before fleeing. Police said the woman sustained minor physical injuries. Investigators described the suspect as a man in his late 20s to early 30s, about 5'8" to 5'10", with a thin build and wearing dark clothing. Police ask anyone with the information or footage of the area during those times to contact them at 905-453-212 and extension 3460 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. Police in Waterloo region say they are investigating a crash that killed 3 people and injured 3 others. Police say Tesla and a Dodge Ram collided Monday morning in Wellesley Township near Kitchener, Ontario. They say the 25-year-old Tesla driver, along with 2 of the car's occupants, were killed and 1 passenger was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The 28-year-old Dodge Ram driver and his passenger were also taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Roads in the area were closed for several hours as police investigated. Anyone who may have witnessed the collision or have dash camera video footage is asked to call the Waterloo Regional Police Traffic Services Unit. Amazon.com Inc. says some customers in Canada can now start getting their packages delivered to their garage. The e-commerce giant says the garage drop-offs are now available to Canadians who are enrolled in its Prime service and have compatible MyQ Smart Garage. Access to the service spans 1,700 cities, towns, and neighborhoods in Canada, including in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Winnipeg, Halifax, and Ottawa. Amazon is positioning the Canadian launch as a way to offer shoppers convenience and help protect packages from weather damage and theft. The company says the service is particularly useful for people receiving costly or fragile goods. While Amazon will waive fees for customers who choose their delivery date in advance, others will be charged $1.99 per garage drop-offs. A second victim has now reported being sexually assaulted by a massage therapist who worked across the GTA, police say. Police said they initially received a complaint that a massage therapist touched a client in a sexual manner during a massage at a clinic at Yonge Street and Savage Road in Georgina, Ontario on August 19. The second victim came forward to police on September 11th. Police alleged the second victim was sexually assaulted in August during visits at a Richmond Hill clinic. Philip Lau, 54, of Georgina, is now charged with 2 counts of sexual assault in connection with both incidents. Investigators believe there may be more victims as the accused worked at various locations across the Greater Toronto area. Police are asking anyone with the information to contact them at 1-866-876-5423 extension 7071 or Crime Stoppers anonymously. Toronto police say an officer was injured as they apprehended a suspect who was allegedly armed with a handgun at Bloor Yonge Station on Saturday. Officers were called to the central TTC station at 1 a.m. after a member of the public observed the suspect was in possession of gun, police said. When police arrived on scene, they said they located the accused on a train platform. Police said officers chased the suspect, who was then placed under arrest. While the arrest was taking place, police said one officer sustained non-life-threatening injuries. They said 30-year-old Shaquille Miller is facing a number of charges, including unauthorized possession of a firearm and 2 counts of assaulting a police officer. Miller was scheduled to appear in a Toronto courtroom for a bail hearing later that day. A new charter challenge that got underway Monday will test the constitutionality of a controversial Ontario law that allows hospitals to place discharged patients into long-term care homes not of their choosing or face a $400 per day charge if they refuse. The Advocacy Centre for the Elderly and the Ontario Health Coalition argues the law known as the More Beds, Better Care Act or Bill 7 violates the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The province disagrees. One core item the court will address is whether the new law has fulfilled its purpose by improving the flow of patients. Documents filed with court reveal the two sides have reached different conclusions on that question. Premier Doug Ford's government rammed Bill 7 through the legislature within days in September 2022 by passing public hearings. The law allows hospital placement coordinators to choose a nursing home for a patient who has been deemed by a doctor as requiring an alternate level of care or ALC without consent. They can also share the patient's health information to such homes without consent. Patients can also be sent to nursing homes up to 70 kilometers from their preferred spot in southern Ontario and up to 150 kilometers away in northern Ontario. The law sparked outrage among seniors. In its factum filed with court, the organizations opposing Bill 7 say it has not had its intended effect of reducing the number of so-called ALC patients. They point to government data from Ontario Health that shows the number of these patients has actually increased by 30% more than a year after the law took effect. There were about 2,300 discharged patients waiting in hospital for a spot in a nursing home at the end of January, the court documents say. The primary reason for the bottleneck is not the patient's fault, they say. Because the law is ineffective, they argue it is arbitrary. They say the law should be struck down. Ford defended the law Monday but lamented the threat of fines. The Ontario government argues in court documents that the increased number of so-called ALC patients is not proof of the law's ineffectiveness, but due to a spike in population growth. The province also points to evidence of several hospital administrators who support the law and say it has increased patient flow. Trillium Health Partners, which runs two large hospitals in Mississauga, Ontario, said the law has helped move 240 ALC patients to nursing homes over a recent 3-month span. Other hospital leaders cited similar progress. The Advocacy Centre and the Ontario Health Coalition also say the law largely targets seniors of poor mental and physical health and deprives them of their ability to choose where to live and how their health information is shared. More than 80% of ALC patients are 65 or older, and the vast majority live with incurable conditions, usually associated with age. The law, the two organizations argue, interferes with the Charter's right to life, liberty, and security. What both sides agree on is that there are not enough hospital or long-term care beds in Ontario, while the province is building more hospitals and incentivizing the construction of dozens of nursing homes. There's now nowhere near enough supply to meet demand, the documents say. Provincial lawyers say the law is needed to open up beds for patients needing to get into a hospital. Ontario argues patients do not have a charter right to live free of charge in the hospital after discharge, nor does the law discriminate on the basis of age or disability, it says. On January 31, 2024, there were 2,243 ALC patients awaiting a spot in a nursing home who had spent a total of nearly 200,000 days in hospital beds, the province said. The Charter does not protect against the sharing of the private health information, provincial lawyers argue, pointing to several other laws that lay out how personal health information can be shared, including under court orders. The province also said that law does not force patients into any particular nursing home. The patient can refuse such a placement. The organizations say the threat of a $400 per day fine is coercive, while the province contends it acts as a deterrent to patients in the effort to get them to agree to be moved to a home they didn't choose. Only 5 people have been charged under the law, the health minister's office and said recently. The threat of the fine didn't deter Ruth Poppard's family. Michelle Campion, who has power of attorney for her 83-year-old mother, refused a hospital's attempts to force Poppard into a long-term care home Campion hated in Windsor, Ontario. By mid-September, no one had come calling for the money, Campion said. I would encourage others to fight back because in the end, the fight is worth more than putting your loved one in a horrible situation, Campion said.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.